Well, hey, church, Matt here. Just wanted to come to you to give you a little bit of a report from this past week at General Assembly. I am back home, back in my office now after a week in Tennessee. General Assembly was in Memphis, and we had just a great week. Both myself and Ruling Elder Blair Burke got to go be the official delegates from Church of the Redeemer for our denomination's General Assembly. And there was a lot going on at GA this year. The theme for General Assembly was Strength for Today, Bright Hope for Tomorrow, taken from the classic hymn, Great is Thy Faithfulness. And this GA truly was a celebration of all that God has done and continues to do with our denomination, with our particular branch of His church over the past 50 years and into today. And there is much to celebrate. We honored our legacy, including on the first night they honored a dozen of the founding and influential members who were part of the first General Assembly in 1973 at Briarwood Church in Birmingham, Alabama. The 50th anniversary definitely was a time of jubilee, a time of great rejoicing, but it's also a time of lament. We mourned and honored together some of the folks that we have lost recently within the past year. Of course, Harry Reeder and Tim Keller, but also Pastor Steve Smallman, pastor and leader and publishing leader Marvin Paget, and several others who have gone home to be with the Lord over the past year. And while we mourn such recent losses, we also acknowledge that in many ways our denomination was one founded or born out of lament. Our very founding in 1973 was out of many years of wrestling and struggle with the fact that the Presbyterian denomination that we came out of had lost its way, had lost its fidelity to the gospel, its fidelity to God's word, and the very need for a new denomination was not an easy one to accept or to actually come to deal with. In fact, that they talked about and recounted the history of when that first calling of the first General Assembly back in 1973, that the vote of the commissioners to call for a new GA of a new denomination. They had that vote, it was unanimous, and yet it wasn't a time of rejoicing and celebrating. It was a time of lament. And yet even out of that, God has been at work. It's been incredible that out of that lament, God has been building something really special and really incredible. And all credit and all glory goes to Him, not to us. But we, as part of this, we heard, as we do every year, we heard some of the reports of the different ministries and agencies of our denomination. We heard incredible reports from Mission to the World, Mission to North America, Reformed University Fellowship, Ridgehaven, Covenant College, Covenant Seminary, and others. A few highlights I wanted to give you. MTW, Mission to the World, is seeing the gospel work in amazing ways around the world, and there's truly so much to be rejoicing for. They've been doing some really, really good things. They've gotten to lower their operating costs, lowering the office expenses, the administrative expenses, which is really good. And yet also, they're seeing for the first time more missionaries come off the field and retiring than going on the field. And they reminded of a challenge that was started back in 2017, which is this 1% challenge, which is that 1% of the adult members of PCA churches would go onto the field. And the reports they have now, they're very close to that. But there's still a long way to go in this 10-year challenge. And they challenged us to be reminding our church of that and encouraging our churches of this challenge that God has put before them. Mission to North America. We saw a net gain of 50 churches over the past year in our denomination, which is very exciting. And yet we've seen a lot of churches close. And actually there's they want to counter this trend of actually more churches closing than opening in general. And they have a goal of over the next 10 years that we would increase from just under 2,000 churches to 3,000 churches, which is a major jump through church planting, through bringing in various methods. But that's a significant challenge that they are praying for. Reformed University Fellowship, RUF, is now on 188 campuses across the country. And actually there's RUF Global, and they're around the world, actually 188 campuses that RUF is reaching college students with the gospel. And it's very, very cool stuff. Ridgehaven, our conference center in Brevard, North Carolina, and also in Convo, Iowa. They have a new location there that they were given. Is doing some amazing things with camps, with conferences, more resources, more facilities, some really, really cool stuff. And Rich Haven is absolutely one of my favorite places. I love going there whenever I can. We got to have 3 incredible worship services together, and there's something deeply profound about some 2,500 individuals from across the country coming together to worship God together. It was beautiful, and it was profound, and it was nothing short of extraordinary. The GA, General Assembly, is also a business meeting. We took a lot of votes, and there were motions, and there were overtures, and there was all this sort of thing. And if you are really interested in the details of all of the votes and the overtures and everything that went on, I would encourage you to go check out one resource, byfaithonline.com. That is our denomination's online web magazine. And it has a breakdown day by day of all of the business that happened at General Assembly, all the votes and the vote tallies and all of that. If you're interested in that sort of thing, please go check that out. But there was truly a sense of unity that was beautiful to see at the whole General Assembly. There was obviously a good deal of debate and a good deal of discussion on many things. But at the end of it, there were only 2 votes that were divided. And one of those votes was for who's going to be moderator. And actually, we had 2 very godly men, and we really couldn't go wrong with either one of them. So that was encouraging to see. And one vote was close, and it was over a procedural Book of Church Order issue about who can give testimony at an ecclesiastical trial. A lot of debate and discussion about that one. But again, if you have any questions about any of the votes, anything that happened, any of the motions, anything along those lines, please reach out. I would love to explain or talk about that as best I can to you. Again, it's all there. So there's a couple other resources that I did want to point out to you, though, and encourage you to go check out. One was PCAGA.org, and this is our General Assembly website. And you can go on there and you can rewatch all of the worship services we had together. There was a 50th celebration concert on Wednesday night led by Indelible Grace, which was beautiful and really, really well done. Highly encourage you to go watch that. That was just a great worshipful night. But also, if you're interested, you can rewatch the business meetings and kind of watch the debate and the discussion that happened on the floor of General Assembly, if you're into that sort of thing. Another great resource I would highly encourage you to go check out would be PCA50.org, so PCA50.org, and it is an incredible collection of the history of our denomination. There's a whole page of videos, of testimonies, of telling my PCA story, and some great folks who have been in the PCA for a long time, and they're telling their story of how God's been at work in that. Y'all, thank you so much for sending Blair and myself to represent our church at our national meeting. I'm really excited about our denomination. I'm really excited about where we are. I'm really excited about what God has done and what God continues to do. And again, if you have any questions at all about anything going on with our denomination or about GA, please reach out to me. I'd love to get with you and grab a coffee or go out to lunch. And I'd love to do that anyway. So if you want to hang out, please just let me know. And be in prayer. Our next General Assembly is in June 2024 in Richmond, Virginia.